Good morning.
I thought you were going to hold my hand.
We've made it. It is Friday.
Oh.
It is the end of the week. I hope you guys had an amazing week. I hope you were able to strengthen your faith. I hope that you've been seeking God and that it has just been a week of blessings as we stare down this weekend. We stare down a brand new month.
Yep.
I think that I pray every day that we are nearing the end of the isolation and that God is moving powerfully in this whole situation. I see His hand working all the time in this unique situation. My name is Adam. I'm the youth pastor at Crossroads Church. This hand that I'm holding belongs to my beautiful wife, Sydney. And we have a lovely son named Jack.
Who? Oh, hang on.
He has an exciting announcement.
I discovered tooth number 2 yesterday. I swear, for the last, week, I've been, because he never lets me look at it, so I've just been sticking my finger in his mouth.
He loves that.
I was like, this tooth feels huge. I'm like, is he growing? It takes up, half of his mouth. Adam's like, it's a little tooth. It's fine. So I finally saw it the other day. Lo and behold, it was another tooth. So,
Sydney thought he was growing one giant tooth.
Like a unitooth.
A unitooth. We have been reading every morning from Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. It's an amazing morning devotional book. There is one for each day of the year. It is so imperative and necessary to start our day off right, leaning into God, seeking Him for guidance, praying that He meet the needs that we have. He promises that He will, but I often tell people it's a two-way road. You can't just sit back and expect God to pour out His blessings upon you.
Do your best, God.
Faith is shown through action, and the action of praying and reading your Bible is acting out your faith. And so we here during this isolation have been trying to model how we act out our faith, at least in the mornings, and that is seeking God.
Yep.
One of many reasons why I love this Jesus Calling devotional so much is because as you enter each month tends to have a theme or a feel to it, and it will give you a single verse that describes the devotions to come.
Yep.
So I'll read this before we get to May 1st. But May's verse reads, "Ascribe to the Lord the glory due His name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of His holiness." And that's Psalm chapter 29, verse 2.
April showers bring May flowers.
I'll leave it at that. Today is May 1st. If you have your Jesus Calling, I encourage you to follow along. But it reads, doing it right there. You are on the path of my choosing. There is no randomness about your life. Here and now comprise the coordinates of your daily life. Most people let their moments slip through their fingers, half-lived. They avoid the present by worrying about the future or longing for a better time and place. They forget that they are creatures who are subject to the limitations of time and space. They forget their Creator who walks with them only in the present. Every moment is alive with my glorious present to those whose hearts are intimately connected with mine. As you give yourself more and more to a life of constant communion with me, you will find that you simply have no time for worry. Thus, you are freed to let my Spirit direct your steps, enabling you to walk along the path of peace. There is a lot in that we will get to and unpack, but one of the other reasons I love these devotionals is there are always verses underneath for our context, which I will read to my wife and to Jack. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Luke chapter 12, verses 25 through 26. to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace. Luke chapter 1, verse 79.
I love this. We were just talking about this morning, about the path that we're on and how God plays a part, and the path word stuck out to me this morning, and I like the most that it says they avoid the present by worrying about the future or longing for a better time and place. It reminds me of when, we were going through a pretty rough spot before we moved here, and we're in Las Vegas, and I found myself so often I couldn't wait to get to the finish line. I couldn't wait till this was over. I couldn't wait for better days, but I didn't, there was a time where I was like, I just want to skip all of this. And then you kind of have this revelation that you are supposed to be here going through these trials, going through this difficult, painful, awful sometimes time. And you're supposed to be going through this. God has you on a path. He has you on a perfect plan. And to want to skip ahead and skip all of these things, these lessons that you're probably supposed to be learning, would be a huge detriment to your journey
faith,
as a whole.
This is a huge revelation, because I think it is human nature to not want to suffer, right?
Yeah.
And so oftentimes when you are in the midst of suffering, you simply cannot wait for it to end.
Mm-hmm.
You can't wait for the hardship to be over, for you to be able to move on. And it is a revelation to understand that we should be thankful for those times, because as yesterday's devotional stated, it is those times when we become aware of our deficiencies and can then rely on God and feel His power intercede and interject into our lives. And so when you have this revelation of, man, I shouldn't be in such a hurry to get to the end, because in the midst of this I can experience God's love, power, etc. And I can grow in my faith and then be thankful for His interceding into my life. That is a revelation to me.
Yes, I love it. I read somewhere once or heard something, a nice little quote that says the only way out is through. The only way out is to go through it. You can't hop over here and speed up time. Like, you have to go through it. And you can either choose to go through it with this can't wait to get till the end attitude, and you miss all these, these big signs that you're supposed to be here, or you can just acknowledge, like, I'm here. This sucks. This is not the funnest time right now, but I'm here. I'm going to find the beauty in it. I'm going to find the glory in it, and I'm going to find the lesson in it, and I'm going to make it through better.
And I think a lot of wisdom, and I would argue that true wisdom can only come from God's Word, but true wisdom cannot be attained but through difficulties. And so we can be thankful then in the midst of these, if you are seeking God, because you can be sure that He is teaching you something, and that He will use that hardship somewhere down the line to advance His kingdom and to work in some way.
Yes. And I know I've never first of all, two things. I've never met anyone that hasn't suffered a hardship. I've never met a single person that hasn't gone through something, that helped them get stronger. And number two, I've never gone through something and had it been for nothing. In the moment, it might have felt like, this has no point. I'm suffering for nothing. Thanks a lot, God. But looking back, it's never been for nothing. There has always been a lesson in it. I've always come out a little bit stronger than before. I've always gained some kind of knowledge. So if you're going through something right now, it's hard to see the other side. It's hard to see the beauty in the middle of it too when you're going through it. But remember that there's something to gain from it. And you might not know that right now, and you might not know what it is till later. But I always try and find the silver linings in things, and that's my favorite silver lining to find is like, at least I'm gaining something from this.
I just had this sudden burst of inspiration.
I was like, where are you going?
My mother, she's so awesome and amazing, but she sends me books all the time because she knows how much I love to read, and especially now when we're all isolated, I'm reading even more. But she sent me this book recently called The Hiding Place, and it's from a collection called The Christian Library. But I read a paragraph that so perfectly relates to what we're talking about, and I'm glad I found it so quickly. But it reads, it's a short paragraph. Childhood scenes rushed back at me out of the night, strangely close and urgent. Today I know that such memories are the key not to the past, but to the future. I know that the experiences of our lives, when we let God use them, become the mysterious and perfect preparation for the work He will give us to do.
So good.
And that just speaks so much to God's truth, that memories are not simply left in the past, but they are keys to the future, because all of our experiences that we go through, if we are seeking God and if we allow Him, He will use for future scenario situations in the future. And we are none of it. There is no randomness about our life. And if I and my wife hadn't gone through the exact same trials and turmoils that we had, we would not be right where we are. And we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And so when you can understand that, I think it can help you be thankful for the tough situations you're in, because you know that God has a plan for this situation in your future.
Yep. And I'm not, it's not the end when you get to the end of a tribulation or a trial. I know we'll face some more trials in life together as a family. We might be 70 years old. It might be tomorrow. But I know that because of all these things we've gone through, makes us a little more capable of going through them with God, glorifying God, and each,
And
it's
so,
okay with God, no matter what happens.
I encourage us all today, if you feel yourself in the middle of something challenging, and I know so many of you guys are, and if you feel yourself in a trial, be thankful for it in the sense that God is working something in your life to use in the future, and try and understand what that is, and I guarantee you it will shift your focus, and it'll give you a new outlook, and it's God's will. So let's
And
try
He'll
and
never
do it.
give you something that you can't handle.
I
So
hope-
if you're given it, you can handle it.
Yes, I hope you guys are having the best week. I hope you have an amazing Friday. It's Friday.
Yes.
That is cause for celebration. This little guy's going to get a walk today. We love you guys. God bless you. And God willing, we will see you tomorrow. We love you.
Love
from the
you.
bottom of our hearts. Mwah.